Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video is actually going to be a charting session going over this week's of price action. And the reason why I want to go over this week's of price action from September 8th to the 12th, I believe, is because this week was very, very tricky. It was a very tough week and I relatively stayed cash the entire time from Monday to Friday. I did not see a single setup for me to take. I actually may have missed one setup, but beside that, this was a very uneventful week and I did not see a lot of movement and it was just very poor delivery, right? The drawn liquidities were presented, but the delivery was very poor. And I was yapping all about this week on my TikTok and my Instagram as well. So if you want to go ahead and follow my Instagram or follow my TikTok, I'll leave it in the description below. I talk a lot of trading stuff and I give a lot of advice on on those platforms. So I just yap to you guys, and yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and follow that, I'll leave it in the description below. Just some very short talks, but anyway, I really just want to go over this week's of price action and give you guys some pointers on how to avoid market conditions that look like this and why it is actually so important to stay cash in market conditions like this. Because I know a lot of you guys got cooked and some of you guys don't really know why, especially given the fact that the drawn liquidities were super, super clear this week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break this down. Before we even do that, I actually want to go over the economic calendar for this week and talk about why this week, or like what you actually were to expect from this week, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Monday and Tuesday, we had no red folder news days, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have three big news events. All right, Wednesday we have PPI, a red folder news event. Thursday, CPI, another red folder news event, and this is another big red folder day, right? PPI and CPI, they are two big red folder news events in every single month. And then Friday, we also have prelim, consumer sentiment, and inflation expectations. So right off the bat, you can already expect Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to actually make the real moves, and Monday and Tuesday to be days where liquidity is generated, right? So you expect Monday to be a day of just straight accumulation. Tuesday, potentially seeing a little bit more volatility, but not that much, given the fact that Wednesday we had PPI, which is a big news event again. So Tuesday, you can expect Tuesday to be some sort of manipulation and generate some liquidity for Wednesday, right? Monday and Tuesday, basically just seek and destroy days. So with that being said, Monday and Tuesday, you either really just want to de-risk or just be completely risk off and not really look to trade. But when I say that, I just don't mean sleep in these days, right? Again, if a setup is presented, you will obviously want to take it no matter what day it is. But you can use the economic calendar in order to kind of scout what days are going to be more likely to present your setup versus what days are less likely to present your setup, right? So Monday and Tuesday, it doesn't mean that you sleep in, okay? What I like to say is that every day is a trading day, but not every day is a day to trade, okay? So still wake up for these days, still, get your screen time in and see if your setup is presented. If your setup is not presented, then obviously you get off, you don't try to force anything. And yeah, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you expect price to pick up, you expect drawn liquidities, and you expect liquidity generated by Monday and Tuesday to be ran by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, so that should have been your kind of pre-week analysis going into the week of September 8th through September 12th. Right, now with that being said, let's go on to Monday and just break down what we were looking for Monday, right? So Monday, we are clearly bullish. We're respecting this hourly gap right here. As you can see, I will draw it out right here. We're respecting this hourly gap, and we clearly do want to go higher. Yes, we have a SMT at these highs right here, but there is nothing stopping us from really going higher, okay? We have a clear drawn liquidity, which is previous week's high right here, and I'm pretty sure this was when Powell was speaking as well, which caused this, kind of crazy move up, right? So this was previous week's high right here. This is a very nice draw on liquidity. And from kind of this point, we are around 140 points away. So is it really probable for Monday to take it? Maybe, maybe not. We just kind of have to see what price action ends up doing around this time. So now we are at close to market open, and then now we will see what Monday ends up doing, right? So again, before I even go through the candles, you expect Monday to generate some sort of liquidity, right? So even though this is the drawn liquidity right here, there is a possibility that Monday will just be an accumulation day. And right off the bat, what do you see Monday end up doing? Absolutely nothing, right? Market open is at 9:30 right here. And then what do we see? Chop, right? So this is immediately a sign to not be risk on, or honestly, there was really no point to, there was no like area to take a trade, and especially in this price action, right? From 9:30 open to here, what do we see? A lack of fair value gaps form, a lack of actual, structure. Like we are just seeing a slow grind higher. There is not much going on. If we look at the 5-minute time frame as well, what do we see? Nothing on the 5-minute time frame. There are no fair value gaps being formed. Price action does not look that great. So just by seeing this, you can kind of tell that Monday is just a day to generate liquidity, right? Now, if we keep playing out some candles, you see the same exact thing. Nothing much really going on. Now we check the 15-minute time frame, and all we really see is one 15-minute fair value gap form. So this is now range bound conditions. So nothing is really ideal right here, but out of this 15-minute fair value gap, there was one setup, that kind of followed the continuation model. Again, this was probably the only setup that was actually presented for this week. Was it the highest probability setup? No, it wasn't the highest probability setup, just given the fact that price action was not that great from 9:30 all the way up to 7:20. So 50 minutes of price go by and you don't really see anything happen. And the only real PD array that was formed was this 15-minute fair value gap, right? So this was literally the condition. If this 15-minute ended up getting inversed, then we go to this range low right here. If it holds, then we go to the range high right here, right? But then again, earlier, what did I say? We have this higher drawn liquidity, which is previous day high / previous week high. So obviously this is the drawn liquidity, but you have to ask yourself, it is a Monday and we are 2 days away from a high impact news event like PPI. So do you really want to, go for the home run and target this previous week high right off the bat? Or do you want to be conservative and target this New York AM high right here, right? This range high, right? Because what are we doing right here? We are playing within the range. Price action isn't looking that clear. We aren't trending in one direction. We are just going higher, higher, and then lower again. We aren't breaking out of this range at all. So you want to be more conservative in situations like this, especially for some of you guys that took this trade and held it all the way up to previous day high. There is a reason why you shouldn't have done that, and it is because using your knowledge and realizing that today is a Monday, which is used to generate liquidity, you don't want to be going for home runs on Mondays, right? So this would be your entry, this would be your break even, and then this would be your take profit, right? Again, you don't want to be too crazy. You don't want to go too crazy with your position, right? This is already 38 points, and that's honestly good enough for a Monday. So as you see right here, this delivers pretty cleanly. But then what do we do after we take out this high right here? We fall back into the range, right? So after seeing this right here, you can kind of expect price to absolutely do nothing. Again, looking at the 5-minute time frame, absolutely nothing happens. This is not ideal price action. So you want to be avoiding trading price that looks like this, right? Market conditions that look like this, okay? So Monday, that was really the only setup for the continuation model. Beside that, nothing was really presented. So yeah, now going on to Tuesday, right? So as we see right here, I'm pretty sure the rest of Monday just dumps lower, so we don't even take out previous week high. And what do we end up doing? We form another swing high. So Monday was used to generate liquidity once again. So now, what do you expect from Tuesday? You either expect Tuesday to manipulate lower or generate more liquidity higher as well. and then you expect Wednesday to come out and take out the liquidity that was generated. Now, this is what was weird from Tuesday. All right, let me kind of break through it and show you guys. If I go to Tuesday's price action really quick. All right. So if we go to Tuesday right here, we'll break it down on the 1 minute time frame. Right at market open, what do we see? Absolutely nothing, right? Objectively, like literally objectively, these first 11 minutes right here, this is very, very bad price action, right? Objectively. There is no way market open should be doing something like this. So right off the bat, in the first 13 minutes, you don't really expect to take any trades, right? I bet nobody took a trade in the first 13 minutes. This was objectively bad price action. And it is very, very rare to say that because a lot of people have different strategies. But this specifically, there is no way anybody was able to take a trade, especially in this, right? Just absolutely horrible market open. So after that, what do? We just end up going lower. So this is kind of seen as some sort of manipulation lower, right? Again, generating liquidity for Wednesday to go out and take all of these highs above, right? Again, looking at the hourly time frame, what are we seeing? This high right here, London high, this is London high, this is previous day high, and then this is previous week high. Now we are getting to the weird point of Wednesday as well, right? So we end up going lower. We take out Asia low right here, and then we still dump lower again. And then this was the weird part. PM session actually ends up delivering all the way to New York AM high, London high, previous day high, and then also previous week high as well. So Tuesday runs all of this liquidity right here in PM session. And this was very, 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 very rare to see, and this is very odd to see as well, especially given the fact that even in PM session on Tuesday, what do we see right here? This is very poor conditions right here. Look at the 5 minute time frame. Absolutely nothing happens. There are no fair value gaps being formed. This is straight chop. All of this is chop right here. This is horrible price action, objectively horrible price action, right? You don't expect much from, you don't expect to trade really price action that looks like this. And what does Tuesday end up doing? Just delivering higher. It takes out all of this liquidity that was generated in Tuesday AM, right, London, and then on Monday, and then on Friday. This was supposed to be left for Wednesday, right? We were supposed to just manipulate lower, which is what we ended up doing, and then maybe just range for the rest of the day, or if we wanted to go to previous day low, that would have been fine as well. But this was very rare to see, and this is not what you want to see to set up a red folder news day like Wednesday. All right, so now in Wednesday, what can we look for, right? Tuesday already ran all of this buy side right here. If I remove the drawings, you can see that all of this buy side right here got ran through. And now what do we have for Wednesday? Well, if we look at the higher time frame, we don't really see much. The next real thing is all-time highs, right? We have this right here, this, and then we have this right here as well, right? Yes, we have draws higher, but ideally what you wanted to see was, go back to the hourly, my bad. These highs to be left, right? You wanted to see these three highs to be left for Wednesday, for PPI to come out and take out this, these highs right here. So that was already weird, and that is already a bad sign that, you know, maybe price action is not going to be that great, all right? So this happened, and then now we go on to Wednesday, right? Not really expecting much again because all of the targets have been ran. Again, I did mark out these highs as well on Wednesday for us to potentially go higher. But yeah, that's already kind of like a cooked start. And what do we do on PPI, which opened at 8:30? Well, we end up delivering to these levels, right? So this high gets hit, and then this high gets hit right here. And then what's next? We have all-time highs, which is around, 70 points away. So what do you expect from Wednesday? Since we are, around 70 points away, you either expect all-time highs to get hit, or you expect these data lows to get hit as well, right? You expect these data lows right here to get ran through. And as you see right here, if we go to market open, straight off of market open, we see that we manipulate lower. And honestly, this week was the only actual like kind of clean week, or kind of clean day out of the entire week. And that was only for the first like 5 or 10 minutes of price action as well. After that, we ended up doing absolutely nothing, right? We have data lows right here, and then we have data highs right here as well. So 930 comes, and then we end up manipulating lower. We have this big fair value gap right here, so you're expecting it to hold and flip and go lower, which is exactly what we ended up doing, right? So this would have been another potential entry right here to these data lows, which I ended up missing. And this was honestly the cleanest setup that I saw the entire week. And this setup wasn't even that great in itself, right? Now, what do we do after taking out data lows, right? What do you expect from price action? Okay, we took out data lows. Now you expect price to potentially reverse higher and, continue the overall trend, right? No, we absolutely end up doing nothing, right? And again, this is price action that you want to avoid. This is not great. This is not great, right? This is just a bunch of chop right here. And then this is a bunch of chop right here as well. A lot of you guys ended up getting cooked in this price action. Nothing ended up happening, and you guys ended up forcing setups and shit like this in horrible conditions to like this to data highs right here, right? Because you guys see that we are moving up, but there is no sort of confirmation that we are going to reverse to data highs. So objectively, this was very, very poor price action after we took out data lows. And that is pretty rare to see on a red folder news event like this. So what do you do in market conditions like this? You just stay cash, right? You don't force setups, and you don't get yourself caught up in this chop right here. So now if you go to the 5-minute time frame, again, you'll see that we end up absolutely doing nothing. We go lower, and then we go back into the range, and then we deliver to Asia lows, right? So we just end up going lower for the day, but nothing really ends up happening, okay? Yeah, literally nothing ends up happening. We retrace into the EQ of the previous day, and that's about it. And even on the 5-minute time frame, nothing ends up happening. Look at this. This is very, very poor price action, poor delivery. Everything about the day was just bad. So now, what do we expect for Thursday potentially, right? Now we go to the hourly time frame, or we go to the 4-hour time frame, right? It doesn't really matter. Now, what do we expect? So Wednesday ended up moving lower. What do we have right here? We have this 4-hour gap right here, so we have to see if it holds or if it doesn't hold. There really was not much going on. There really was no sort of draws in liquidity beside this previous day low right here. And what do we have on Thursday? We have CPI on Thursday. So you expect CPI to potentially deliver lower at this point. Honestly, you don't really know what CPI is going to do, but you have this draw lower as well, right? And then you have previous day low as well. But again, this is what I mean when this week was very, very weird, right? And you should honestly have been weirded out by looking at this price action as well and seeing that there was a lack of delivery on a red folder news event like Wednesday, right? And the fact that we edged all-time highs right here as well was very, very suspicious, right? So now you're expecting CPI to potentially manipulate and take out previous day high, or sorry, all-time highs, or you take out previous day low, right? You can't really expect much from CPI, but at least you're expecting CPI to be a nice day to trade. And now if we go to the hourly time frame again and skip through to see what CPI ends up doing, what do we see right here? All right, what does the CPI candle do? Okay, so we manipulate lower, nothing much happens. We go out, we take out the data high right here. Actually, the next candle ends up doing that, but now we're going to 930, okay? What do we expect right here? Okay, cool. We see these data lows right here. Potentially 930 could end up flipping and going lower, but what do we also see up above? Okay, we have this high as well, right? We have previous day high right here. So that is a potential target as well. Again, you're just trying to see if 930 actually does anything, if market open actually does anything, right? So that really just sets the tone for the rest of the day on CPI. So what do we see at 9:30? We deliver lower, but again, we're not doing much. Again, this is a sign of very, very poor price action once again. On the 1 minute, there are basically no fair value gaps being formed. There is absolutely nothing going on. We're not delivering lower, or like, you don't know if we're going to deliver lower, if we're going to go higher, if we're going to go lower. We don't really know what's going to happen. Again, like, we go past this high right here, right? This is the range high. We break past it, and then we fall back into the range again. And all of this price action here, again, is very choppy. This is horrible, objectively horrible price action to trade. Nothing was going on here. There were no fair value gaps being formed, no volume, there's no displacement. We're just trading within a range. And again, this is where a lot of you guys ended up getting chopped up and ended up getting cooked, right? And this is why you should really avoid price action that looks like this, right? It is so important. Now, if you look at the 5-minute time frame, what do we see right here? Whole bunch of chop. We create this fair value gap right here. We respect it. But again, following the continuation model, was this some sort of setup? Yes, right? This was, I guess you could say, a setup. Was this a high probability setup? No, not really. Why again? Well, because look at the rest of price action. This was not that ideal. Do you really want to be risk on a setup like this when you've already seen a pattern of horrible price action starting from 9:30 a.m.? The answer is no. This is exactly why I did not take the setup. Even though it delivered, there is no point in me trying to be risk on when there has been a pattern of yesterday being bad, and today at market open was also bad as well. If this setup occurred maybe around here before 10:30, I would have taken it, because this price action ended up clearing up now, and it didn't end up clearing up back then. It was kind of too late in the day, and there was no point in being risk on. Even objectively, this price action right here was not that great as well, right? You see a lack of volume, right? After we react out of this 5-minute gap, what do we see right here? Price just starts stalling, and then we finally make the move. Again, not price action that you really want to be engaging in. So it's better to play it safe than to be sorry that you even took the setup. But yeah, just like looking at it from the 15-minute chart, you really do not see much, right? We have nice drawn liquidities, but we don't have nice delivery. And this is a sign to not stay on the charts, right? To not trade this. Yeah, so Thursday was objectively bad. And then now if we go to Friday, what do we see right here? If we break this down, Friday, if we go to let's just go to market open right here, because that's when news was. On Friday, what do we finally have right here? Okay, we have all-time highs right here. Okay, so now we can kind of confidently say that we are going to deliver to all-time highs. Okay, but what do we need to see to get a setup? Well, objectively speaking, we would not need to see some sort of displacement, like away from previous day high or away from all-time highs, and some sort of setup to form, right? We need to draw away from the drawn liquidity, and then we need to create some sort of setup to push us back higher to all-time highs. That is what we're looking for on a Friday. So Friday, ideally, you would want to see market open deliver lower for us to go back higher. Otherwise, we won't get a setup to all-time highs, right? And then what do we do on a Friday at market open? We do deliver lower. But what do we see right here? This is, again, very poor price action. Lack of fair value gaps, tons of wicks, tons of very choppy candles, and this is exactly price action that you do not want to trade. You do not want to get yourself chopped up in, especially on a Friday as well, right? So again, very poor price action. Nothing really ended up happening. What do we see right here? At 10 a.m., we create data lows right here. This was, again, another like semi-decent setup. We had an SMT at these lows right here with data low. I don't want to really go to ES and mark it out, but I promise you there was a SMT with data low. And then what do we get? Again, with the continuation model, we get a somewhat decent setup. But again, why did I not take this setup on my XFAs, or why was I not actually risk on this? Well, pretty simple. Again, pretty simple because the rest of price action right here was absolutely terrible, right? This is not something that you want to be trading. Even though you see price sort of clearing up, you can't really expect price to just deliver, right, efficiently when you see price action that looks like this before. Was this still a setup? Yes, this was a setup. Was this a high probability setup? No, I do not believe that this was a high probability setup, which is why I decided to be risk off on this trade. And what do you see right here? Yes, it ends up delivering. But again, I am completely fine with being risk off. I did not take this on my XFAs. I instead purchased some evals, and I ended up taking this setup on evals. Again, there will be weeks like this, there will be days like this where price is just very, very poor. Yes, the drawn liquidities are good, but price is just moving very, very poorly. And it's fine. It's completely fine because there will be weeks where price action is absolutely beautiful and you will be getting setups day after day and you will be eating, right? You will be rewarded for being patient in weeks like this. So yeah, I hope this helped you guys out, and I hope this really helped clear up price action that you should be trading versus price action that you should not be trading. If you guys liked how I broke down this week and marked out potential setups that you could have taken, go to my link in the description if you want to apply to work with me one-on-one. I also have a link to join my free Discord if you're interested in that as well. But with that being said, that is the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.